In this video, I'm interviewing Marianna and Giulia, who are two Italian ladies who recently passed their C2 Proficiency Cambridge English exams with some really impressive scores. And I'll share the results statements for both students with you in a moment. But I particularly wanted to interview these students first and foremost because they got such good results, and hopefully that can be an inspiration to you if you're planning on taking the C2 Proficiency Cambridge English exam, but also other Cambridge English exams, maybe the B2 first and C1 advanced. Their tips on preparation and how they manage to get a high score will be useful if you're preparing for any of the exams. But I wanted to share some background before we go ahead with the interview. Now, both of these students coincidentally enrolled on my premium C2 Proficiency Cambridge English exam preparation course. So the premium version of my online preparation courses includes a 1 hour one-to-one consultation with me, where most students practice the speaking paper and I give my feedback. But these two students, Marianna and Giulia, both booked their call on the same day. So I gave both of them their calls separately, but on the same day. And it turns out that they have a lot in common. They're both Italian, but they've both lived in England. And Marianna, who's still living in England, is moving back soon. And Giulia moved back to Italy quite recently. So they have a lot in common. And the fact that they both have lived in England for some years is the reason that they have such a high level of English. It's the reason that they reached the C2 level of English. But I don't want you to think that it's necessary, that it's required that you live in an English-speaking country in order to reach the level to be able to take the exam. There are many ways to reach a C2 level of English. So I don't want that to put you off. I don't want you to think, oh, well, I haven't lived in an English-speaking country, so I can't pass the C2 Proficiency exam. That's how they got the level, but they passed the exam because they understood what is necessary. They understood about how to prepare and how to approach the exam. So the tips they share in this interview will be extremely useful to you. But as I said, hopefully this interview will inspire you and motivate you if you're just starting or in the middle of your preparation for your Cambridge English exam, whether it's the B2 first, C1 advanced or C2 proficiency. And don't forget, if you want to enroll on one of my preparation courses, the link is in the description. And one more thing, you may have noticed a change in my appearance a little bit. The beard has gone, but I've decided to keep a moustache, but I'm not sure about that. Let me know what you think in the comments. Just a thumbs up or a thumbs down for the moustache, and in the next video you'll see what decision I've taken. Okay, enjoy the interview and let me know in the comments if you have any extra tips or any questions. So Marianna and Giulia, thank you so much for joining me and agreeing to do this and share your experience with all the students watching on my YouTube channel. Welcome to my channel. We're going to just talk about how you got such amazing results in the C2 Proficiency exam. But first of all, congratulations. I'm going to share the results on the screen now, but you both got amazing results. I think anyone would be extremely proud of themselves for getting such good results. So that's why I chose you, because I think you can hopefully inspire other students, but also share some tips on how you did it. But yeah, congratulations. How do you feel? Marianna, how do you feel? I mean, it's a few weeks now since you got your results, but are you still on a high?
I am. And I feel very happy and very proud.
Good.
Very proud.
You should,
Yeah.
And Giulia, you got very similar results. I mean, as I said, I'll share them, but how are you feeling?
So the same for me. So I was very happy, being proud of achieving such a accomplishment, and I also feel quite relieved. So a massive weight off my shoulder at the moment, to be honest.
It's a long and stressful process, isn't it? But getting the results makes it all the sweeter when you get the good results. So my first real question to both of you is, and this is a question I often ask my students when in the first class, because it's quite important and it will help other students, I think. But why did you decide to take the C2 Proficiency exam? Giulia, maybe you can start with this.
Yeah, so I think for me it's been mainly two reasons. One, purely personal. So I just wanted to have a C2, especially because I lived in England for 16 years. So I just wanted to kind of like close the loop. And the second reason mainly is because I'm an English tutor. So I just wanted to boost my opportunities to find a job in private schools, also public schools. So
Marianna, similar for you?
Yeah, very similar because I'm an English teacher, and I think I wanted to add that layer of credibility
Hmm.
um, to um, to my job and my profession, and also because I'll be relocating back to Italy in a few months' time, and as Giulia said, it's yeah, demonstrating that level of knowledge of the language is a requirement for most private institutes. So yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's quite common for C2 students,
Yeah,
students who take the C2 proficiency. It's
yeah,
partly because of
yeah,
personal challenge and motivation, but also
yeah,
gives them that advantage in the well, sometimes it's required. It's a specific requirement. Sometimes it's just an advantage that you can put on your CV or show to potential employers in the future.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously, both of you have lived in England or are still living. I mean, Marianna, you're still there, although you're moving back to Italy soon.
Yeah.
So of course that helps, but I mean, it's not enough often. I mean, just living in an English-speaking country is, is going to help you reach that C2 level, but preparation is also key. So Marianna, can you share some of
Yeah.
your experiences with the preparation? How did you prepare for this exam?
Well, as you said, there are some elements that are quite, easy because, I've been living in the UK for such a long time. And for example, I've always listened to the radio. My radio is almost constantly on, in my house. So that makes things easier, at least for the listening and the listening part. Um, and then personally, I started with some self-study. I think a few months prior to the date that I had set for myself. Um, and I just wanted to get, familiar with the C2 structure, the syllabus. Um, and it was okay. It was okay. But I
Mm,
think at a certain point I realized that there was something that, I mean, I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but there
mm,
was something that I was probably not nailing, so to
mm,
speak.
yeah,
And that's when I decided to enroll in your course.
right.
Because I think, and I know because I prepare my students for exams with a different provider. And so I thought at that point, I thought there's something here strategically that I need to learn.
Yeah.
And when I, and then when I started your course, then something shifted immediately.
Hmm.
It was really immediate,
Right.
and I think because you need to understand the strategy behind it, you need to understand what the examiner requires, what they want from you. Um, and that's it. And then I started practicing with mock exams, one after the other
Yeah.
on a roll.
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean,
Yeah,
it's so true what you say about strategy, and I've mentioned it a lot in my videos on YouTube that most people who decide to take the C2 proficiency exam have a C2 level already, or they're very close to it. So it's not necessarily about moving from C1 to C2.
no, no,
It's about how to approach the exam and best strategies
exactly,
and time management
exactly,
and understanding the
exactly.
format and understanding
Yeah.
Cambridge, sort of what
Yeah,
Cambridge
because
you're looking for.
every provider is slightly different. I mean,
Hmm.
different or slightly different, but yeah, it's not the same.
No.
And so I was probably used to a certain provider, and then I had to, my mind had to shift, and my mind had to get used to a different method.
Yes.
Um, yeah,
That's
and
good.
and
Yeah.
in fact, if I might add this, when sometimes I ran out of Cambridge mock exams.
Hmm.
Um, and I relied on other exercises, other activities, or other mock exams that you can find anywhere. You can find even books on Amazon, and
Mm.
it wasn't the same. It
No.
wasn't the same thing.
Exactly.
And I found myself actually just like, why did I make this mistake? What, I was so perplexed. The
Yeah.
things that were conceived in a different way. So I would say to stick to everything Cambridge.
True. Yeah. I mean, there are limited resources. I mean, there are books
Yeah,
available and on online, some
yeah,
free resource, some free sample tasks, but
yeah.
It's true, and I mentioned that in my last video. It's you want to do as many sample tasks as possible, and if you unfortunately, I think some people get it the wrong way around. They start with the Cambridge publications and like the official Cambridge sample tasks, and they do all of those, and then they run out, and then they start getting other books or going to websites just before their exam, and that can be confusing. So I would recommend the opposite, doing other tasks from other publishers first, and then I mean, it's better, as you said, to do everything with Cambridge, but there are limited resources. But at least the 2 or 3 weeks before the exam, exclusively Cambridge, official Cambridge tasks, because as you said, there are nuances, there are differences. It's a very particular style and format. So,
and I think the exam, the mock exam, or I think it's not a mock exam, it's an official exam that you can find on the Cambridge website.
Yeah,
that I think is the golden standard, because that's basically what you should expect in your exam.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yes, it is what is written by the Cambridge examiners, and even AI is again a useful resource, but it doesn't get it quite right. It's still it's so nuanced, so detailed that it doesn't get it quite right. What about you, Giulia? Was it a similar preparation experience for you?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I can vouch everything that Marianna said. So effectively, I started with a few exercises, like grammar exercises, trying to get to the level of Cambridge. But then I figured out that I needed to switch gear and look for different resources. So, and then I also found your course. So I think what's been difficult is that when you are a high level and you kind of like plateau and you don't find a way how to improve again, keep improving your English. So then I think at that point, you need a strategy more than anything else. And you need to find a way how to tackle the exam, what the examiners want, just making sure that you have a set method, how to, go on the day, on exam day, and do the best you can on that day. But having a strategy is, I think, is fundamental. Also because there is so much to do in the exam. So not because I want to scare anybody, but obviously we know there are so many components. And so it feels like, feels quite overwhelming, right? As soon as you see it, as soon as you look at what's required and all the components, for example, the reading or use of English, that's in particular. And I feel that with the strategies and the time management in particular, so you can go through also the mock tests and all the other practice activities, etc., but with a more a better framework. And so this is exactly what happened. And also, as Marianna said, stick to Cambridge in terms of other resources that are out there, but clearly not the same quality, or maybe not the same level of difficulty. So perhaps you don't want to face an exam when you're obviously not prepared, or prepare with the wrong source of information. So that's my experience, I want to say, in terms of preparation.
Yeah, great. Yeah, thank you. It's I've often considered writing my own tasks for like to give students extra material, like writing my own use of English or reading tasks, because I could, but I wouldn't. I mean, I have a lot of experience with the Cambridge exams, but I'm not confident that I would get it quite right. So, I don't want to mislead students. So, yeah, Cambridge tasks better. I mean, one thing you didn't mention, obviously, the coincidence of that you both had your class with me that's included in the premium course on the same day. So I put you in touch, and then you practiced, I think, some of the speaking tasks together. So that having a study buddy can help and it doesn't have to be necessarily someone else who is taking the exam. If you have a friend or a family member who's prepared just to practice the speaking paper with you, or maybe read your writings just to give some feedback.
That was great. I mean, it was a great experience because obviously we both know what the examiners expect. So we follow the same path, right? So then it was also easier to practice together because we knew what we needed from each other in terms of what the expectations were. So that also was a pleasurable experience as well. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it really helps. So yeah, well done for doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, my next question, and this is, I mean, you can answer it as you like, but what part or aspect of the exam or exam preparation, perhaps, whatever, what did you find the most challenging? Again, Marianna, we'll start with you here.
Well, I think that in every paper, there was a task that didn't make me smile. One task. For
Right.
example, in the reading paper, I remember the gapped text was a bit of a headache because it used to take me a long time
Yeah.
to be able to put all the pieces of the jigsaw together. And that worried me because I always thought, well, this is going to eat up all the minutes that I have at my disposal during the exam. And actually, it wasn't like that at all, on the
Right.
exam day.
Yeah.
So that, for example, but funnily enough, the reading paper was a bit more intimidating for me. And I think, and I said funnily enough, because I've in my life, I've written so many theses and dissertations and even papers. And so I just could not understand why I felt so nervous about it. And I think that's because, again, you know that you've got a limited amount of words that you need to use. You know that you have to meet certain criteria. And yeah,
pressure.
I still don't know why. And in fact, as you will see, the writing bit is the lowest one, so to speak. I mean, it's
What it is,
ridiculous.
yeah, it is the lowest, but it's not low. It's just lower than the others.
No,
It's
exactly.
relative, but that as I've said in many videos, it's so common. It's in almost all the result statements I've seen. The writing is the lowest, but you still passed at C2 level, so it's still good.
Yeah, and I think you want to impress the examiner. You want to keep a certain balance. You need to be careful of so many things, and also you've got a limited amount of time. Whereas if you write an article or a paper, you've got your time. You take your time. You've got all your other tools. So, now I know why I probably went a little bit down, because I think I took an angle that the examiner didn't really appreciate, or maybe it didn't match the Cambridge criteria. I mean, I'm not quite sure. I think that's the reason why. But I think that was my that was my difficulty. It's just, again, very weird, very bizarre for me. I think it's very subjective.
Well, as you said, I think Cambridge look for certain things that, I mean, even in real life, I mean, if you're experienced, you write a lot, and it's difficult to sometimes look for. It's not necessarily that you did anything wrong. It's just that you didn't do enough things right that they were looking for. So you didn't tick all the boxes. Maybe they were looking for more cohesive devices, or maybe you didn't quite complete the task as they expected. But it is a little bit subjective depending on the examiner. But again, you got a very good score, so it's
no,
relative.
I know it's ridiculous. What I'm saying is ridiculous.
No, it's not ridiculous. I understand, but it's but yeah, I understand when you wanted to have the writing at more or less the same level, or you expected it to be a little bit higher, so it can be.
Yeah, probably because I knew. I mean, I would have bet everything on my writing and not on, for example, on other papers.
Yeah.
So sometimes,
But yeah, you did so well in the other papers. It's difficult to to reach that level in all of them. But anyway, you did very well. Yeah. And Giulia, what about you?
So I guess for me the worst was writing, so the most intimidating and most challenging part of the exam. So my podium is writing, then you have a gap text in the reading paper, and the fourth part of the listening, so the matching questions, the matching answers. So I guess with the writing is because maybe two reasons. One, I'm not used to write. And I don't particularly choose writing over something else, right? So so then maybe it's because you're not used to do it, and also you do not have many or much creativity, I would say. So that's why I always felt a little bit worried about what am I going to choose. Is it going to be a letter? Is it going to be a report? So especially with the second part, right? And so I think this was quite hard for me.
Mhm.
Then with the gap text as well, because obviously you have one extra paragraph you never know, and there's quite a similarity, I think,
Mhm.
sometimes in
Oh,
in a
yeah.
paragraph you have to insert, so you feel like, oh, which one is it gonna be? So question mark there.
Yeah.
And then the listening, especially because with the listening you have two options, or better, two listens, and so you need to make sure that you get the right strategy to tackle that particular part, I think, and the strategy probably is what makes the difference.
Mhm.
And yeah, having said that, I think with the reading and the listening, it went okay, it went fine. It's just
Mhm.
the writing, obviously, that yes, I didn't have great expectations in terms of the score for the writing, but at the same time, I felt a little bit disappointed. So it's because you always want to get the best you can, and you feel like, okay, with writing, I got a great C, and so that kind of
Yeah.
did it for me. Yes. So.
I think there will be thousands of people watching this video thinking, how can you be disappointed with the results you got? I mean,
Well,
you did amazing, both
because
of you.
you basically just spoil my average, I guess.
Right,
So
yeah.
that's why.
But you said it's a C, but it's in the C2 Proficiency,
Yeah.
which is it's
Mhm.
that's one of if not the most difficult English exam out there. So I can understand. Yeah, you when your expectations are high, because you both prepared and practiced a lot, and
Yeah.
that preparation paid off. That's why you got.
Yeah.
Well, you have the
I mean,
levels, of course, apart from anything. But yeah,
yeah,
sorry,
I
Giulia.
think the time management is what makes things much more complicated. It's not only so much, and not just so much the amount of words you need to use. I think that's okay. It's probably the time management. So in my case, for example, I used a little bit more time for the essay, therefore I had less time for the second part. And also it meant that with the second part you need to read all the components to choose which one you want to go for, and I didn't have time to read carefully what each option was, so
Right.
I picked one.
Oh, right.
So
Just
yeah,
at
so
random.
that's
Right.
a little bit random, so I had to go for it and just bring it home, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which one did you choose out of interest in the end for part two?
I went for the review.
Okay, good. Yeah, I think we spoke about that. I thought that would be a strength for you. And you, Marianna, do you remember which part two task you chose?
I chose the review as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
right.
And I just went for it straight away because I didn't even look at or maybe I just took like a very cursory glance, at the other titles of the other. But yeah, I think, okay, I can do that. It's fine. I've got it. Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of decided beforehand that was what you wanted to do. Yeah.
I think it was the first. I think it was the first one, and
Okay.
I thought, yeah, I can do that. I've got an idea. I can do that. It's fine. I got it.
Yeah. So don't waste time. Just
No,
get on with it,
no.
I guess. Yeah. Yeah, as you both said, I mean, the time management is so crucial, and it's a big part of it, especially the reading and use of English and writing. But you both did well. So let's move on. And I'm going to start with Giulia this time, but I want to ask you about your exam day experience. And I'm starting with you for a reason, Giulia. So can you, how was your exam day experience?
Okay, so we don't have long, right?
Not too long.
My exam day experience was a little bit disappointing, and I explain why. So nothing to do with the exam in itself. So the exam is great, and I always would recommend it to anybody. But it's just probably the examination center. They were not able to administer the exam on the day to my expectations, and I think to the golden standard of Cambridge. And so what happened during the day is that the ID checks were done after the exam had already started. And so I felt that we as in all the candidates, but I did in particular, suffer from some disruptions and noises in the classroom. So it wasn't the best environment from that point of view. And so my strategy, which was to start from part 5 in the reading paper, so which obviously is the long text to read. So I had to switch my strategy and start from the easier one, as I call them, so 1, 2, 3, 4, because that I felt I needed in a way less concentration in comparison to reading a long text, right? So having done that, I wasted probably 5 to 7 minutes. So at the end of the day, I still had the time to complete the reading paper and use of English paper in the time allocated for it. However, I think I didn't manage maybe very well the nervousness and the frustration from the episode that happened at the beginning. So that I think didn't really help in that respect. So
yeah, it's a pity because, as you said, I mean, Cambridge exams are very prestigious and very well organized, but it does sometimes depend on the examination center. Things don't always go to plan, and yeah, when you've prepared so hard and you're so focused and you get distracted by the invigilator, it's a problem. But you managed to overcome that because you got a great score. But it's unfortunate to say the least. What about you, Marianna? Did you have any similar experiences on your exam day, or did it all go smoothly?
Not really. I mean, fortunately or unfortunately, because I'm following Giulia, I'm speaking up to Giulia, so I feel a bit bad. But no, my experience was completely different. And I mean, I took the exam in London and in a centre, in a language centre, in a language school, and they were they were adorable, really. The examiners, the invigilators, all the staff, they were really, really helpful and supportive.
Great.
And at some point, we had some disruptions too, because we had some builders, down the roads making a racket. And the invigilator said that she would note this down, and she would just message Cambridge just to let them know that we had some disruption. So it was noted, it was acknowledged, and I think it was just kind to do that. But it was, I mean, for me, it was very relaxing. I think that really helped calm my nerves. And I think at some point I was so relaxed that I almost forgot to finish my task. Like, oh God. Yeah.
Well, it's good to be relaxed, but not too relaxed. I mean, try to remember to do the tasks. It's I mean, that's what I always say, because most people get nervous in the exams, and that nerves help you focus and to remember to do everything.
No, but I was really nervous until I sat down.
Okay.
But I think that because of I had some good support around me, and I could see that everything was going okay. And like Giulia, I started, and I followed your advice. I started from the reading part, and everything was okay. I said, yes, I got it. I can do that. And then I think I was just, I took the digital test, and I was just revising all the sections, all the tasks, and then I realized that I forgot.
Right. Task 2 of the use of English, of the
use
reading
of English.
Right.
Yeah, but I still had 10 minutes. So.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, it all worked out in the end. But well done.
Yeah.
Is it, Giulia, you took the digital test too, right?
Yes, I did too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there are. It's the same exam, the same content, but there are some advantages if you have the chance to take the digital. I do recommend it, and Cambridge are really pushing the digital exams.
Yeah.
Okay, what about any extra tips that you would share? I mean, if you had to start this process again, if you knowing now what you know now, if you what would you, any tips that you would give to students who are just maybe starting their preparation for the exam? Marianna, I'll start with you this time.
I think I would have jumped on your course straight away.
Right.
Just because because sometimes if you rely on textbooks, they can be a bit misleading sometimes. And again, I'm circling back to the writing task. And sometimes they give you examples, or they give you model text, which don't necessarily match what Cambridge wants.
Yeah.
And I think because your course gives such a good insight, into the structure, the format, and I think that's 50% of the exam done, in my opinion.
Okay. I haven't. Just to clarify, I haven't paid you to say that? I was just,
No.
it's your, I didn't expect you to say that, but, but it's good to know. It's good to know from my point of view that my course helps, because it is, I mean, I have a lot of experience with the exams, and everything you're saying is the reason why I created the course, because most students are lacking that, the strategy and ideas for time management and the format. So that's the whole idea. So it's great for me to hear that it helps. Well, it helped you at least. So, and Giulia, what about you? Any tips you would give to students just starting their preparation now?
Yes, in my case, I think at the beginning I've underestimated a little bit the tasks in general, so the size of the exam. So what I recommend definitely to do, if I would do it again, is before booking a date, download everything from the Cambridge website, study the components of the exam, at least try once or twice to do a mock test or an authentic exam anyway, just to see what your level is. Do a gap analysis, and then once you clear in your mind what's your situation and what your status is, just book your date. Probably, it depends obviously on what you do during the day as well. So if you do work, how many hours can you dedicate to preparation, etc. But in my case, I try to do 1 hour a day. But in some other cases, obviously when time was going, I had to speed things up and try to see if I could do maybe 2 or 3 hours a day in the last week or so. So obviously it really depends. Definitely, it really depends. But I definitely recommend to carefully examine each part of the paper.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice, because often people decide what exam they're going to take and then start preparing, but it's a good idea to get an idea. You shouldn't worry too much about the scores, how many questions you're getting right or wrong before you've even started preparing, but at least just get a feel for if it's the right exam for you. But also what you said about booking a date. I mean, some people kind of start preparing and then they think, I'll book the date when I feel prepared, and probably never going to feel prepared. I mean, even you two who have great levels and were very prepared, maybe you always
I didn't feel prepared.
No, you always feel you can do more, right?
Yeah.
I feel I needed more 2 weeks more probably, just to make sure.
But even if you had those 2 weeks, you'd probably feel you need another week or another 2 weeks, because there's always something more you can do. But if you book the date, it kind of forces you to focus and motivates you to study. So
there aren't enough idioms, that.
Exactly. Infinite idioms and phrasal verbs you can still learn. But obviously what you did was great. So fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing your tips. Really useful for
Thank you, Ben.
For me, but for all the students watching. So congratulations again, and thank you for coming on my channel to share your experiences.
Thank you so much, Ben, for having us.
Thank you.